What's going on, guys? Welcome to an episode of Coffee and KOs. My name is Steve, and today we're kind of changing things up a little bit. We're kind of doing a cross-platform mix here. I have Lewis with Norton MMA with me, and Lewis, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and the purpose of this video, and I know it kind of hits home for you a lot, but Leon Edwards finally found a dance partner, and it's going to be Belal Muhammad. What did you think about that fight announcement?
I think it's very brave of Belal, considering he's only just fought when he fought Dhiego Lima. It's a really good matchup for Leon, in my opinion. But I think most matchups in this division are good for Leon. I think he is not the dark horse as such, but he was, and now, as you say, it's so hard for him to get a fight. No one wants to fight him for a reason. It's not because he's ranked too high and they're like, oh, maybe it's out of my comfort zone. It's because he's dangerous and they don't want to risk their position, especially the top guys like Jorge and Colby. It's not because he hasn't fought. It's just the excuse they keep throwing out of there. If they thought it was an easy fight, they would fight him.
No, see, I feel like a lot of people don't think that way when they think about Leon Edwards, but I got to be honest with you, I have done a little bit of a 180 after looking into this fight a little bit. I watched some recent Leon Edwards clips, his fight against RDA, his fight against Gunnar Nelson. I feel like I learned a lot about Leon Edwards, and I 100% see why he's the number three ranked guy. But I also love Belal Muhammad coming in, stepping in, as you said, short notice to fight Leon, who's number three ranked, is an absolute massive opportunity. So in my eyes and in Bilal's eyes, it makes a ton of sense to just say, hey, you know what? No one's stepping in. Why don't I do it?
Exactly. And Bilal's only lost one fight in I think the last 9 or 8 fights. He's on an absolute roll as well. I think that was to Jeff Neal. And
Yep.
Leon obviously is, I think as well, the stat was he's got 8 wins in a row at welterweight, which is the third best of all time. Not just current ranked fighters, it's of all time. It's Kamaru Usman, George St. Pierre, and then Leon Edwards. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup to look at too, because both guys are 18-3 pro record. Like you said, Bilal Muhammad's on an insane run. He's only lost to Jeff Neal. His loss before that was Vicente Luque. His first
Yes.
loss was his UFC debut to Alan Joban. But then you look at Leon Edwards, his loss was to Kamaru Usman,
Yeah.
Claudio Silva, and then the one before that was just a DQ for an illegal knee. So they have both faced pretty insane competition and have fared well. So I really like the matchup, and just seeing like where they've been in their UFC careers, like they've definitely have earned their stripes and faced a lot of tough guys.
And I think that's an important point as well with the last losses. Kamaru Usman, it was a fight where nothing really happened. It was just a normal decision for Kamaru Usman, kind of the ones he was getting while coming up in the UFC. And the one to
Mhm.
Claudio Silva was a split decision loss, which is Claudio Silva is a really tricky fighter. He's
Yep.
got a really good record just because he's so unorthodox and he's not a good striker, but people don't want to strike with him because then they're fearful he'll take it to the mat. There's so many different ways that he can win. But I definitely think Leon's going to go into this fight as the favourite. There's no doubt in my mind he's the
Yep.
favourite, not just because he's higher ranked, but because of the short notice for Belal. I don't know what his weight cut's going to be like, but I think Belal is a tougher matchup than the ranking would suggest. I think that's not quite fair to him. I think he is a top 10 fighter because if you look at his resume as well of people he's beaten, those are some really good names. Curtis Millender, Lyman Good, Takashi Sato. Again, Jeff Neal was the hiccup, but other than that, there's pretty similar resume to Leon Edwards, other than one or two names that put him into the like, upper echelon of that division.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do think Bilal was a guy that people have been, kind of harping on, kind of hyping him up a little bit, and he finally cracked the top 15 in his last fight, which was awesome. So I was able to go back, watch one of his fights against Jeff Neal, and then I obviously watched the Dhiego Lima fight. And just between the two of them, like I've definitely noticed a few things. Like Bilal, when in his last fight, presses against the cage, he's all up in your face, he's very aggressive. That's a very good version of Bilal. And that's something that when you look at the Gunnar Nelson fight, Gunnar did have some success kind of using that strategy. So that's kind of where I see the opening for Bilal. But when I watched the Jeff Neal fight, Jeff Neal is the one backing down Bilal, and he was able to, when Bilal was fighting off of his back foot, basically he was not able to do much. He shot in for takedowns. He stuffed him. So that to me, if I'm Leon Edwards, I'm going to be the one trying to keep it in the center. And if anything, I'm going to push him against the cage and just, you know, you got to do a ton of damage. You got to earn his respect early on because he's not afraid to step forward and get in your face. And if he is able to shoot for the takedowns and score the takedowns, it would be a long night for Leon.
Exactly. It is a perfect way to describe it. And also, Leon, the one trick I would back Leon for is he likes to beat people at their own game. When he fought Donald Cerrone, he was like, I'm going to stand and trade with you. When he fought Gunnar Nelson, he said, I'm going to take you to the grappling and I'm going to beat you at your own game. And he did. And he got mounted for about 30 seconds in the fight. But other than that, he was in pure grappling control of one of the best grapplers in MMA. And then for RDA, he thought, I'm going to outwork you. Outworked him for 5 rounds completely. He will want to beat Belal, not only at his own game, but he'll want to put on a statement because if he wins this, you know he's getting that title shot because he was prepared to fight Hamzat, who obviously can't do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So like when I was watching Leon, it's pretty insane as to like how well-rounded he is. He has an insane like fight IQ. He's very smart. He's very selective with his shots. But I was also surprised at like the versatility. Like he throws some really good kicks, but he also was using his elbows a whole bunch of times, and he was definitely cutting people open. Nearly finished Gunnar Nelson
With
coming
that
out of
elbow.
the elbow coming out of the clinch. And his cardio looks really good. As you said, like he can hold his own on the ground. He's lanky. He's tall. He's going to have the reach. Like if he wants to grapple, I think he'll have advantage there too. Leon is very well rounded. And I don't think he's getting obviously the credit he deserves just because he hasn't fought in so long. But if we're making picks on this, I really liked Belal coming into this. He is, I think, the plus 200 favorite. I mean, underdog. Sorry, Bilal's the plus 200 underdog. And I liked the money on that, but I do think Leon is going to go out there, and especially in a 5-round fight too, where I think he's going to have the advantage there. I think Leon's going to take this one. I don't think he's going to finish Belal because Belal is a tough son of a bitch, but I will take Leon by decision.
Leon by decision. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is really tough to finish Belal, but I think if Vicente Luque can do it, I think Leon Edwards can do it. That's my. I think based on the preparation, I know he's just had a whole camp, and so he might be ready for another fight. But the fact he's just been in a fight with someone like Dhiego Lima as well, I do think it's going to be a little wear and tear on the body. Leon is fresh coming into this. He's been training a while. He didn't want to change the date for a reason. He's ready for this particular date. He's 29 years old as well, prime of his career right now. So he wants to fight. He's really hungry. He's going to want to make a statement for that belt. I think he's going to finish Belal, but it'll be in the later rounds when Belal isn't prepared for. I'm going to say round 3 or 4, and it'll be a finish by TKO.
See, and then when you talk about Belal taking all those leg kicks, and they interviewed him after the fight, and he was like, I just didn't care about the leg kicks. I just kept coming forward, but like obviously he felt it afterwards. If Leon's smart, that's obviously an area that he's going to attack. I would 100% use that because it did work. He definitely felt it, especially over a 5-round span. Like that's not going to work against someone like Leon. So Belal better just kind of smarten up a little bit, be a little bit more protective because he does eat a lot of shots. So I'm very much looking forward to this fight, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm happy for it. I'd place your money if you want to win some money. I'd place it on Leon. If you're looking for smart money and you got a little bit, Belal's not a bad bet, to be fair, for an upset.
There you have it. So that is Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. Guys, you can check us out. I'm Steve with Coffee and KOs. We're at Coffee and KOs 1. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Norton, if you want to give yourself a quick plug too.
Yeah, it's MMA Norton on YouTube and all of the above on Instagram and Twitter. Check us out if you can. Subscribe to the channel. All videos like this, MMA Thoughts.
Sounds good. And we'll see you later.